Hello, everybody, and welcome to Training Tuesday. It is a pleasure to have you all here today. I appreciate you joining me tonight. I'm recording now. Here we go. All right. Fantastic to see everybody. Thank you for joining me tonight for Training Tuesday. As always, we are here Tuesday night. It is 6 o'clock on the East Coast, and we are here to talk about all things leadership, confidence building. How do we get promoted faster, make more money, build our network, essentially do more and be more with our lives right now? How do we make that happen faster, with better results, with unlimited support around you? So that is what I am aiming to help you guys with every Tuesday when I'm here. So I'm checking right now to make sure that I have us loaded so I can see comments. Hopefully this will work for me tonight. And we're going to get started. So tonight we are digging into Ditch the Solo Act, orchestrating success to overcome the soloist imposter. I love this particular imposter syndrome profile, partly because it speaks to me so much. So last week we talked about the superhero profile under the umbrella of imposter syndrome. Today I want to talk about the soloist. Now, I told you last week, and it is true, I identify very much with the soloist, or with the superhero. The soloist is a little bit more true to my heart, though. Like the superhero qualities, like I was the woman whose phone was always on, and she was always checking her messages and responding to calls because I had to. The soloist profile is a little bit different, and truthfully, just a little closer to me. And I think there's two qualities that made me very susceptible to this profile. One is my natural inclination is as an introvert. So soloist profile fits very well with introvert. And the other is when you are raised in an environment where achievement is important. Achievement is an important value, right? Whether it's making good grades or just getting things accomplished, right? Checking off the boxes, getting things done is important. And that isn't balanced by a sense of community or teamwork. You end up falling into the soloist pattern. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit about that, because the soloist is someone who's focused on who completes the task, who is getting the job done. And so they tend to avoid asking for help or bringing people together and collaborating and fun things like that. So we're going to dive into that. Before I get started, just want to say welcome to Training Tuesday. If you have been here before, then you know what we are all about. If you have not, welcome to Training Tuesday. Love for you to say hello in the chat, shout out where you're from. I see that Terry's here. Yay. Hi, Terry. And just share comments, answer the questions, ask your own questions. As your comments come up, as long as I can see them and follow them, I will be happy to answer them while we're live. My name is Natalie Hahn. I am CEO of Dirty Girls Consulting. You are in our Facebook group. It's a private Facebook group called Accelerating Leadership for Professional Women. So welcome. So I'm going to start by just describing for you guys kind of what the soloist imposter looks like. Because like I said, I have near and dear experience to my heart. So when I was hired for a job years ago, I was hired for a job as a writer. And my first week on the job was the week my new boss was on vacation. So when I came into the role, he said, listen, you're going to start on this date, but I'm on vacation that week. So I'm going to leave you a list of, people to talk to, things to do, typical onboarding list. So, you'll be fine. Don't worry about things. We'll take care of other things when you get back, but here's your list, which is great. So, okay. So, and I see Joyce and Sue are here. Hey, good to see you, ladies. So on his list of people to talk to and things to do was he wanted a white paper. Now, I had taken this job as a writer, and I am a marketing writer. So I've written press releases and ad copy and website copy and things like that. But I had not written a white paper. And just for those of you who are familiar with white papers today, know that like 15, 20 years ago, white papers were a different thing. White papers were very technical in nature. They were white papers, literally were scientific and technology papers. So if you were writing a white paper and it had to do with technology, you were getting into the weeds there. This was not my forte. But he had put on this list of things to do, cloud computing dash white paper. And I was like, oh, great. Well, how do I, now I have to figure this out. So this was at the start of the cloud tech era. And so everyone everywhere was writing things on public cloud, private cloud, on-prem, off-prem software, SaaS software, software as a service was just starting to become a thing. So there's all kinds of just conversation happening out there. So in between meeting the people I was supposed to meet and, you know, tackling these little projects he had me do, I spent the week researching and reading everything I could about cloud computing. Everything I could. I tried putting an outline together for what this white paper would look like. And I really didn't feel good about it. I didn't feel good about it because I wasn't sure I had all the right topics kind of in place and in the right order. And I actually wasn't sure if it hadn't already been done before, because I was taking all of my information from other things I was reading. So I thought, well, how interesting is this going to be if it's just a regurgitation of somebody else's work? But new job, didn't want to screw it up. I was once again newly single. And when I say that, I kind of facetiously, I was married at the time. As some of you know, my ex-husband's military. He had just left 2 or 3 months earlier on an 18-month deployment. So I had 3 kids who were 6, 9, and 10 and a half. Those were my 3. And no help. He was in another country doing another thing, and he was gone for well over a year. So single mother, did not want to screw up this job. But I felt really exposed, because one of the reasons I had taken this job was because it was supposed to be the easy job. I had had other roles running marketing teams and things like that. And I specifically took a marketing writer job because I was like, I can do that in my sleep and I'll have plenty of time to be a mom and do the mom things. And then here I was, right? The week that my boss is gone and I'm trying to figure this thing out. I take my kids to karate. That was always part of the deal. I take them to karate, but while they're in class, I'm on my laptop and I'm scribbling notes. So I'm not paying attention at all. Karate nights were also the nights that we went out to dinner after karate, but instead I took them through a drive-through and they're throwing French fries around the car and they're eating at home. And like, I blew that night off, and that was a Tuesday night. I blew the Thursday night off because I felt like I had to get this done. Now I want you to keep in mind, my boss did not just pull this topic out of thin air. We were a tech company. We were a consulting company, and we had really, really, really smart people who were writing articles and blogs. Blogs were new then, and white papers on this topic and related topics. And I was even reading their white papers and articles and blogs to help educate myself on the topic. And I didn't put it together because I was so focused on this idea that if I asked for help, I would be viewed as not qualified for the job that I just stepped into. I would be viewed as not smart enough to get it. Why didn't I know this already coming in? Why didn't I already have it? Why couldn't I just read a few things and catch up with it? I was convincing myself, you can figure this out, Natalie. You always figure things out. You can figure this out. And so this train of thought kept me so focused on just get it done and do it. Because if I can't do it, what kind of writer am I? Right? Why did they even hire me if I can't tackle this topic, which is clearly important to them and to their industry? So when my boss returns the following week and I have to show him now what I had accomplished, how do you think that went? How do you think that went? How well could it have gone if I am surrounded by really smart people who know the topic and I used none of them? I used their writing, but I didn't go talk to them. I didn't ask questions because I was too afraid of looking stupid, looking not qualified. So does this sound familiar to any of you? Is this profile one that any of you potentially relate to? You can just drop a yes or a Y in the chat, or just talk to me. If this profile sounds familiar, then here's the deal. There are a few reasons why we go here. There's a few motivators under this. And I mentioned a couple of them. My motivators were high achieving family. I should be able to do this myself. I should be smart enough. I have to prove that I'm smart enough. Joyce, you're with me. Thank you. I should be able to do this. Plus doing this means I have validation that I am smart enough, that I can do this, right? So I deserved the job. I earned it. There are other reasons that people go here into this profile that are much more generous than mine. Other people will step into this because they don't want to be a burden to other people. I don't want to bother them. Part of it's still I don't want them to think I'm stupid, so I'm not going to bother them. But a big part of it is they're already busy. They already have enough to do. I don't want to bother them, right? So it's the desire not to infringe on somebody. Hey, Sue, I am too old to know this, do this, figure this out. That's the thing, right? We're never too old to learn, but we don't think that's true. We're never too old to tackle any goal, and yet we don't think that's true. And hey, Terry, thank you for raising your hand. Other reasons why we step into this profile, why we hunker down into our silo, don't ask for help. Sometimes we believe that no one else can do it the way we do. Sometimes it's just like, I better get this done because nobody else is going to do it right. Or it's a little bit of, I'm going to get this done because I don't trust anybody to do it the same way, because I can, and because I already know how, I can do it faster. Like, we justify why we stay in our silos. Another reason we'll do it all alone is just because I don't want somebody else's opinion. I don't want somebody else stepping in and telling me I'm doing it wrong, or I could have done it better, or I should have done it this way. I don't need other people criticizing my work or my project. And so I stay in my silo and I hold on to it as long as I can without having to share it with the world. By the time I do share it with the world, they better know this is set in stone because I put blood, sweat, and tears into this project. So if this sounds like you, and this was me, if this sounds like you, here's the impact. The impact, for example, in the example I gave, the impact was I wasted a ton of time. I wasted productivity and time going down rabbit holes, trying to learn everything myself, realizing after the fact that I wasn't necessarily studying the right things, that all the reading I had done, maybe 40 to 50% of it was actually valuable to the topic that my boss wanted covered in this white paper. So we waste time, we waste productivity. We limit, when we stay in the silo, we limit our ability to expand and grow. We limit our connections with people. So when we keep ourselves so contained, we not only limit our ability to learn and grow for ourselves, but we limit our ability to rise. Like, how are you seen? If you're not connected with other people in your team and in your organization, how is your name the one put forth for that next promotion, for that next big project? If you are always seen as just working in a silo, then your reputation takes a hit, right? Because you're not invited in on, you are known for being a lone ranger, or you're known for just working alone. You've minimized already your visibility across the company anyway, because you are so determined to just do it all yourself. We can, in this profile, we can build up a lot of resentment. And the resentment is a little bit of projection, because the resentment comes in with, well, I'm never invited to these meetings anyway. I'm never invited to be part of this project anyway. So why should I share with them if they're not sharing with me? And we don't always step back and think, well, wait a minute. I've spent 6 months working on things and not sharing with them. Why should they share with me? Why would they think to invite me to something when I've never invited them into something? So we build this resentment about how other people are treating us, when in actuality, they are just mirroring what we've already shown them. This also leads to the lack of balance, right? I already talked about the fact that I was at karate and I was on my laptop and I'm doing the drive-through instead of taking my kids out to dinner and asking them how their day was. So we will, as soloists, work those overtime hours to master the topic rather than go get support or take a shortcut, because a shortcut means that we're not doing the work properly. And this is a fast track to fatigue. And fatigue is how you get to burnout and frustration. And it builds up in the soloist and creates that resentment because we haven't opened up channels where we can vent and share and just release, right? Some of that pressure. Now, the pandemic did us no favors. Just going to say the whole COVID pandemic and shutdown, the soloists were probably the happiest people out there because it was so much easier to hide from the group meetings and the hallway conversations and people dive bombing your office when there wasn't one you had to go to. So probably if this is in your personality, you survived the pandemic the best. But there are reasons that we want to tackle this, right? There are reasons that we want to master this particular profile. First is remembering that success and growth come when we are uncomfortable. Moments of discomfort create success and growth. So those moments of discomfort when you ask somebody for their opinion, you look for feedback, you work on a group project and you listen to the other ideas. Maybe you even let somebody else take the lead. Those moments of discomfort where you sit through somebody giving you an opinion and it's a terrible opinion, but you listen. Those moments of discomfort are where we grow. And when we grow, we move closer and closer to success. Another reason to master this imposter is because team makes us stronger. Any leader that you look at who you admire, any leader out there who has made an impact, achieved some amazing goals, none of them did it alone. None of them. They all had team around them. That team might have been a partner and an assistant and a best friend and a coach and a mentor and who knows, employees, tag teamers, volunteers, it doesn't matter. They did not do it by themselves. We go further, faster, and with better results when we build our team around us, which means being open to other ideas, to feedback, to other ways of thinking, to not always being the smartest person in the room. And finally, delegating and sharing makes you a better leader. It makes you a stronger leader. The ability to sift through the, okay, here's what we have to do, but actually, not only do I not like doing this, I'm not that good at it. Being able to release that and give that to someone else who is, allowing them to shine, it actually puts you in a leadership position. Our fear when we share, when we're in the soloist mindset is if I share, they'll get all the glory and I'll look like I don't know what I'm doing. They'll look like the smart one and I can't afford that. That's in our head. The actual perception is this person gets to shine at what they're good at, but I get to shine at what I'm good at too. And part of what I'm good at is being a smart enough leader to say they're better at this than I am. They should take that on. So it works for us, even though instinctively we're afraid that it's not. It's going to make us look smaller. So how do we tackle this? How do we tackle the soloist? Really with baby steps and with practice. And the first baby step I'm going to give you to do is to pick somebody, your BFF, your work partner, your boss, a mentor, a coach, right? But pick someone to start opening up to. And opening up means share what you're working on and share how you feel about it. And maybe right away you're not asking for help. But what you are doing is allowing others to see what's happening inside your silo. What's going on here? Just the practice of opening up to say, I'm working on this project. Had I spoken to somebody in my loud voice and said, I'm working on this cloud white paper and I'm a little nervous because I don't know what my boss wants. One, I would have felt good just to say that out loud, to just be able to say the fear out loud because it becomes less scary when we put the words to it. It also opens me up to maybe maybe getting a word of advice, like, why don't you wait till he comes back and you ask him? Because nobody expects you to have a white paper written in a week. He just wanted to make sure it was on your list, right? So talk to somebody. And if you're not used, if you are truly anchored in this soloist profile, then just talk to somebody. It doesn't have to be 10 people. You don't have to be asking for immediate assistance on anything or asking them to critique anything. You just need to practice sharing what's going on. Now, step 2 is where we step a little bit more into forward action, which is purposefully seek out opportunities to collaborate. And there's 2 ways I'm going to suggest that you do this. There's 2 ways. The first way is just the very direct way. So if you're feeling bold and brave and you're ready to just dive in, what you're going to do is look for ways that you can actively, openly right now collaborate with teams, which means instead of clamming up on a group project or hiding what you're working on until you've got it polished and it looks really good and nobody else can throw stones at it, you're going to step into the next team meeting or project and say things like, I'd like us to tackle this as a group. Who has an idea for how to get started? You're just going to open it up. You're not going to claim expertise. You're not going to worry that you have to have the answer. You could just say, this isn't my area of expertise. Who would like to lead this? This is out of my wheelhouse, but I'm sure I can get caught up on this. Can you give me some basics? Can you point me to resources? What should I know? So these are ways that you're going to step into a group and you're going to ask for help. Now that's the very direct way, and that might give you the heebie-jeebies or make your skin crawl. That may be a little too much too fast. But for those of you feeling bold, just lean into it, step into it and say, I'm here to learn and absorb, and I'm going to breathe through this discomfort because it makes me feel very uncomfortable, but I'm going to do it. Now, the other way to maybe ease into this a little bit more is you ask for help in a more roundabout way. And that roundabout way is actually to start praising others. I want you to step back and look around at the people around you and just notice, what are they good at? What can they do really well? What makes them shine? And then your job is to actively, boldly offer praise. Hey, you did that really well. Wow, you killed that presentation. Great job on that project plan. You got all the details in there. It looks airtight. By verbally out loud to another person in front of a team of people or just even one-on-one, by offering the praise, you're doing 2 things. One is you are retraining your brain to mentally step out of your silo, observe other people doing things that they're good at, and opening that connection. You're not asking for help. You're telling them what they're good at. But by training your brain to do this, to recognize what other people are good at, you're also opening the door for, these are ways this person can help me. These are things this person can do that everybody also already knows that they can do. So why would I compete with that? When there's a resource here who can help me do something better, faster, and together we can go further. So I want you to practice praising people. Train your brain to acknowledge and appreciate the skills of other people so that as you do step into collaborating with them, it becomes so much easier to delegate, to let them own part of the project, to share, because you already know that they're good at it. And if they're good at their job, they're just going to make you look better at yours. Now, the third thing you're going to do, so that was kind of like, how do we reach out to people in 2 parts? Is one, you just throw yourself into the foray and say, I'm here on the group project, help me learn. And the other is to simply say, you are really good at this. So when we work on something together, you're going to own that part. Now, final thing, and this is an easy baby step. This one is an easy baby step. So 1 was an easy baby step and 2 is an easy, and the last one, 3, is an easy baby step. 1 easy baby step was to simply talk to somebody, talk to somebody about what your experiences are, what you're going through, and just get used to opening up to somebody else. Step number 3 is make a list of people who you have learned from. Make a list of your past bosses, coaches, mentors, coworkers, family members, anybody you have learned something from, because we all learned from somebody. We all got here somehow. And maybe at the time we were learning from them, we weren't overly conscious about it, or we were just in a different place in our life and our career, so we felt good about the learning mode. But I want you to make a list of people that you have learned from over the course of your career and get specific. What skills have you learned from them? What perspective, ideas, attitudes have opened your eyes, have come from them? So part A, step one of step 3, part A of this piece of the exercise is just take a piece of paper and figure out who has influenced me in a way that I have learned. And the second part is reach out to them. And again, you're not asking for help. You can, if you have something you'd like to ask them about, but if this is the baby step, all you are doing is sending them an acknowledgement. Hey, Mike, it's been a hot minute. We haven't talked in 10 years, but I just wanted to let you know, when I worked with you, this is something I learned from you. And I was just thinking about that today and wanted to say thank you. Nothing bad comes out of that. Because what are you doing? You're training your brain to observe and acknowledge somebody else's contribution to your success and how their contribution to your success has helped you shine. That's the recognition that we want to train in your brain. The added benefit is if Mike sees your message and responds, you've just blown open your network. 1, you can ask him for help if you want help. 2, you can just reconnect, see what each other is up to. Networking and leveraging your network is a whole other leadership skill that we do tackle in Training Tuesdays and other trainings. So it's an important one. Use it. The worst that happens is he never sees or never responds to your message, and that's okay, because the point of the exercise was for you to recognize, I've learned something from this other person. It's helped me be a better person. I want to continue this. I want to continue this pattern of behavior. And by the way, Mike, I want to thank you for that. If Mike never responds, no harm, no foul. But if he does, either I get a great catch up with somebody that I haven't spoken to in a long time, or even better, we reconnect. There's more networking to be done. We help each other. We introduce each other to more people. Who knows where that goes? So your 3 steps, and I know that step 2 is in 2 parts, so technically it's 4 steps, is talk to somebody. Just practice opening up and talking to somebody about what am I working on and what's going on. 2, purposefully seek the feedback. Hey, I want to show you something. Hey, I've been working on this, would love your ideas. Practice sitting through the feedback, because here's the deal. Even when we ask somebody to critique our work, to give us feedback, to share an idea, we don't have to take it. It could be a terrible idea. It could be feedback. You're like, yeah, I kind of knew that already. That's okay. That's okay. We don't have to take their feedback even when we ask for it. We are seeking different opinions and perspectives to help make our work better. That's all. We don't have to agree with it. But if we didn't go looking for it, we wouldn't know what's a different way of looking at this. What's another angle I could tackle on this? How can I polish this up and make this better? And you are 100% right, Jackie. Step 3 is going to those mentors, right? Going to those mentors reminds you of why they invested in you in the first place. What did they see as your strengths that had them say, this is somebody worth putting energy in? So step 1, just start opening up. Step 2, seek opportunities to collaborate. And you're going to do that 2 ways, right? The direct way is to simply jump in, volunteer for projects, create teams around your own projects, ask for the feedback, ask for the advice. The second half of that, if you need to ease in a little more gently, is to start the habit of praise, openly praising others, so that you're retraining your brain to recognize other people as resources who can help you. And step 3 is make the list, find the mentors, find the influencers who have helped you along your career, recognize that you've already been learning from other people all along anyway. And now you can more openly and actively take in that input. Being that more open, more vulnerable leader allows you to model for the rest of your team how to ask for help. Because think about this, if you're a leader of a team and you're modeling the soloist mentality of just hunker down, get in your silo, do the work and churn it out, your team models themselves after. We do this on teams. We model ourselves after the style of the leader. That's why they say culture comes from the top. If your culture is everybody hunker down and do your own thing, that's what your team is going to do, which means they're never going to ask each other or you for help, because that's not what happens here. We're just all expected to sit down and do our job. So if you're looking to build a stronger team, a better team, better communication, more open team, and to be a better, stronger leader, breaking down this particular profile is really important. It's really important. We are only afraid of feedback or of criticism when we give it that power. When we decide they said I was a terrible person and by golly, they're right. We give it that power. They can say my work is terrible and I can go, yeah, I get why you might think that, but I don't agree. It's okay not to agree. Or maybe I get why you think that. And wow, you're right. Maybe I should redo this. So Sandra says, read an article, it's best to ask advice and not opinion. And that is true. If you ask for an opinion, you're going to get an opinion. And you have to remember it is just somebody else's perspective. It doesn't make it valid or invalid. It is honestly just their perspective. Take it for what it is. Ask their advice. You're going to go a little bit deeper because you're going to get a little bit more of them putting themselves in your shoes rather than surface level armchair quarterbacking, right? When we give opinions, we're armchair quarterbacking. When we're giving advice, we're putting ourselves in your shoes and saying, well, here's what I would do. And Joyce, you're absolutely right. It reminds when you reach out to other people with the praise or with just the thank you for how you influenced me or what you taught me, it does remind them of who you are and that you exist and that maybe there's a way you can help them. So oodles of benefits to this. All right. That is our topic for tonight about the soloist profile under that whole imposter syndrome umbrella. As we've discussed before in this group, you don't have to believe in imposter syndrome as a syndrome, because it's not an illness. You don't have to believe in that to just know that we all have that voice of doubt in the back of our head that's planting seeds that says you're not good enough, smart enough, fast enough, pretty enough, thin enough, whatever it's telling you. Looking at these profiles gives us ways to isolate some of those voices and just tackle them one at a time to be able to say, that voice that keeps telling me that if I share my work, everybody's going to think I'm stupid. I think I want to get rid of that one. And so just one at a time, we can look at each of these profiles and goes, here's how this profile shows up for me. Now here's what I'm going to do about it. So thank you for joining me tonight. I do have, if you're interested, before I forget, I created a little cheat sheet. I don't know what else to call it, cheat sheet, infographic. I'm in marketing. That's what we call it, infographic, on the soloist profile, on both kind of the questions to ask yourself to see if you're falling into the soloist profile, and then the things to do, these things I just outlined, the things to do to help break the pattern. If you were interested in that little cheat sheet, drop the word solo in the comments, and it's just a short PDF, but I'm happy to send that your way so that you just have a little reminder of things to look out for. This one is specific to the soloist profile. So drop the word solo in the comments if you would like that. And as always, if you are finding yourself struggling with that imposter voice, whether it's the soloist profile or the superhero profile we talked about last time, drop the word chat. Drop the word chat in the comments, and I'll set up time for us to have a one-on-one little coffee chat, just a short call coaching conversation to talk about where your imposter's tripping you up and get you one step closer to conquering that voice. We're just going to work on one tool, one tactic you can take right away and implement to help you quell that imposter voice. So if you'd like to have just a free coaching conversation, no sales call, just coaching, 15 minutes, drop the word chat in the comments and I will reach out to you and we'll set that up. If you want the cheat sheet, drop the word solo in the comments. And otherwise, have a fantastic week. Thank you for joining me for Training Tuesday. We are going to conquer these little imposter gremlin voices running around our heads so that everybody moves farther, faster. All right. Have a great week, ladies. Thanks for joining me tonight.